Hi everyone, my name is Ruthie VanGorder and I am coming to you today to talk with you about mindfulness. We are in some really challenging times right now, unexpected, unprecedented, and challenging. And that's why I want to share with you a little bit about mindfulness, because I think it is most important right now that you remember how or learn how to take care of you, to do a little bit of self-care in the midst of all of this. So today what we're going to talk about is mindfulness. What is it, and why should we be talking about it? Mindfulness is this ability to be fully present and aware of what's going on and what we're doing right now without being overwhelmed or overly reactive to it, right? That's hard to do when we are dealing with so much change and living with some fear. Very hard to be mindful and be present and not overly reactive or overwhelmed by what's going on around us. So, mindfulness is our ability to put a little bit of space, a little bit of pause in our mind, right? Before we speak or act or whatever that it is, mindfulness is that pause, that sense of calm, that sense of peace that we can have in our lives, even in the midst of chaos. That's what mindfulness is. So, mindfulness is one of those things that if you've never heard about it, or you've never thought about it, or you've never even wanted to talk about it, it might be a topic that you're hearing more and more of right now because we need it. But I want you to know that you might think that mindfulness is going to help you achieve this, right? Do you see this picture of this serene setting and this calm posture? And well, I'm here to tell you that is not exactly what we get when we try to implement some mindfulness into our lives. This is more what it feels like, right? See this little lion tamer? This is what it feels like. Like we're battling our mind. We are literally fighting those negative thoughts, and we're fighting the flood of emotion that comes in. That's what it feels like when we stop to be mindful and stop and think. We feel like we are a lion tamer, right? But I want you to think of it a little bit differently. Mindfulness actually is more like this. You see that little brain doing some exercise? Think about opportunities where you are taking a moment to be mindful. Think about it as a little bicep curl for your brain. Every time your mind wanders or goes somewhere and you bring it back to the present moment, it's like a little bicep curl for your brain. It is literally just a way for you to practice coming back to this moment, this one, because this is the one that we can have any impact on. It's this one. It's not the moments from yesterday, and it's not the what ifs of tomorrow. It's this moment. So think about mindfulness as being exercise for your brain, something that you practice over and over again. But I'm here to encourage you a little bit, not to feel overwhelmed that you have to add another thing to your schedule. Mindful moments that occur 1 minute at a time matter. 1 minute. Mindfulness is really meant to be a way of life. It's looking at putting mindful moments into the moments that you already have in your day, not adding another thing to your schedule. So, with that said, we are going to practice a couple of things today. But first of all, I want you to understand what's going on inside of our brains. Okay? So, when you think about the brain, right, there are two areas that I want you to think about when you think about mindfulness. One is that prefrontal cortex, which is this front part of our brain, and that's where we do our very best thinking, where we are the most efficient and the most effective with our thoughts and our reasoning and our emotions, and everything is solid and efficient in this prefrontal cortex when we are using using the energy in that area of our brain, right? When we are activating this area of our brain, that prefrontal cortex is where we function the most efficiently. However, when we are dealing with stress and fear, that fight or flight response, we are actually activating that area of our brain called the amygdala, which is our fight or flight area of the brain. That amygdala is there for a purpose. It's there to protect us, and it is there to help us know when there is a threat and how to respond without necessarily thinking about it. So right now, we are probably all functioning within that area of our brain, that amygdala. We don't make our best choices in that area. We are fearful and we are scared in that area, and we are confused and not necessarily mindful. Mindfulness occurs when we can stop and take a couple deep breaths and bring our energy from that amygdala to that prefrontal cortex. Sounds great, right? How do you do it? Well, that's what we're going to talk about over the course of these next few days. But today's video is really meant to be mindfulness basics. What is it? Why is it important? And we are going to dive right in and do a mindfulness exercise today. But before we do, a couple things you need to know about mindfulness. Number one, you don't need to buy anything to get started. You've got everything you need, and that's you. So that's a plus. Also know and understand that there is no way for you to truly quiet your mind. If you ever hear that, oh, I couldn't be mindful because there was too much going on in my head. Well, there should be a lot going on in your head. Think of your brain like a waterfall with waves and water crashing around constantly. You can never shut it off, right? That's your brain. Those are your thoughts. They are there constantly. But think about mindfulness as that space behind the waterfall, where if you were to step behind a waterfall, you would see this smooth sheet of water, this sense of calm, right? That's what mindfulness is. In the process of all those crashing thoughts and that tumble of emotion and everything else, mindfulness is that step back where you see that smooth, calm, peaceful water. That's what mindfulness is. So mindfulness is coming back there again and again and again throughout the day. Know that your mind is going to wander when you practice mindfulness, and know that that's okay. And just remember this: mindfulness is about that little bicep curl for your brain coming back to this moment over and over and over again. And every time you do that, you strengthen that ability of your brain to help you remember and learn and know how to be calm and peaceful more often, how to call on that, how to step behind the waterfall. That's what mindfulness is. And that's what we're going to do over the course of these next several videos, is we're going to learn simple strategies that you can do to be mindful. So, you ready? Let's get started. I want you just to settle into wherever that you are, wherever you're sitting right now. Just sit and relax. And if you're comfortable, go ahead and close your eyes. And I want you just to notice your breath. Just notice. Notice your breath as you inhale, and notice it again as you exhale. Just notice your breath. Now, as you inhale this next time, I want you to imagine as you exhale that your body relaxes just a little. Think of the exhale as the letting go. We're going to breathe in. And as you exhale, I want you to imagine that your shoulders soften and relax just a little bit. If at any point you want to open your eyes, or you feel that you need to just breathe in your own natural way, go ahead and do that. But if you're able to, just let your shoulders relax on the exhale. See if you can let your arms relax. On your next inhale, notice your hands. Notice any tightness or any feeling that you have in your hands. And as you exhale, just let that all go. On your next inhale, I want you to notice any tightness or feeling that you have in your chest. And as you exhale, let it release. Take note of your stomach area as you inhale. And as you exhale, let your stomach relax. Let that area soften. As you inhale, notice your back. If it's touching the chair, just take notice of where it's touching. Notice any tightness. And as you exhale, let it go. Notice your legs. Notice where they're touching the chair or the floor. And as you exhale, just see if you can send your breath there and let it relax. Take note of your feet on the floor, the feeling of your foot in your sock or your shoe or your slipper. Just notice and let it go. On your next inhale, I want you to let this next exhale go and let your whole body just experience a relaxation. One more inhale for that head to toe check-in. And as you exhale, you can let your breath return back to what feels natural. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. So that was a mindfulness practice that was just called a body scan. I really took time with you to walk through that, but what you did is you just stopped and you were breathing and you took note of yourself from head to toe. You know what that did? It brought you back to this present moment each time you did that. That's a mindful moment. And what it does is it creates a little bit of space in your mind, right? It creates a little bit of a pause where you can just take a break, give yourself a break, give your brain a break, right? This mindful moment that you just did, this body scan, is something you can do throughout the day. You can do this at a stoplight. You can do this when you're washing dishes. Just breathe and notice what's going on in your body. Just notice. So I'm glad that you joined me today for this mindful minute, and I'd like to join you again on another day. And what we're going to do from this point forward is we'll just do brief little 10-minute exercises of a new mindful moment each day. Today we talked about what it is and why it's important and a little bit about what's happening in your brain. Take time today for you. Remember that 1 minute counts. You don't need to add 30 minutes into your day to sit and roll out a yoga mat and be mindful. No, stop where you're at. Take 3 deep breaths, right? And just notice yourself from head to toe. And imagine that your exhale is helping you to relax just a little bit. That's a mindful moment. Have a great day.